Moving into SRLs, either personal or big blocks, there are a few things to consider. SRLs are great to reduce the fall distance versus traditional fall arrest lanyards, right? And when working on rooftops, there are some certain factors that come into play when you're considering the type of SRL to use. So can you go over a few applications for SRLs on rooftops and what kind of considerations should be addressed when putting together a fall protection plan involving SRLs? That's a lot, I know.
Yeah, how much time do you have? You've always got to do your evaluation first and foremost. It'd be amiss to not mention that and see where is the areas you're going to be working in and where can you anchor to. There might be issues with where structural members are placed underneath the deck that you have to have access to get a certified anchor point, especially when we're talking about foot level and leading edge where there can be increased forces. You wouldn't want to skimp on your anchor point, absolutely. So once you've established that, you've got to start considering the radius in degrees in which you're working away, either right or left of the SRL. That's going to create that swing fall issue that we're discussing where perhaps I'm 20 feet adjacent to my SRL and 20 feet out. I'm adding additional payout of the device so my fall distance could be greater and an entire distance, whatever my edge is, whether it's that 0.005 inch steel or it's just concrete that hasn't been finished, there's a high potential that I could damage my SRL and potentially cut the line completely, resulting in a serious injury or, God forbid, a fatality. And that's not just to say a non-leading edge lanyard either. Again, the leading edge lanyards and SRLs are tested in one specific way. You can find some manufacturers who are willing to show some independent testing, but in our world, we defer to ANSI for how we label things and how we're making our product selections. And currently, when it comes to leading edge, when you're making that selection and you see that SRL LE label, all it's telling us is that it's been tested over that 0.005 inch steel member, nothing else.
That's why it's really important to consider, like you said, where your anchors are, what type of anchorage you're using. Certain blocks or SRLs require a specific anchor to be, paying out and retracting properly, and then know how far left or right on that radius you're working from your anchorage.
Yeah. You bring up a good point about specific anchors, not just as I mentioned about the placement of that anchor, but going back a little bit, no matter what device you're using and whatever labeling you see on it, whether it's LE or not, you still have to review that user manual. And that's where you're going to find some of that information, like we talked about earlier, how certain devices can be tied off 5 feet below a user's D-ring, while others can be tied off 3 feet below. These devices are all referred to by industry names the same. Yo-yos, twin turbos, whatever it might be, whether it does have a brand connotation originally or not, it's just a blanket reference. And you have to take a look and see what scenarios this plays out in and which it'll work in. And same thing with your anchors. Certain of your SRLs, especially in leading edge applications, might call out that the orientation of the SRL has to be maintained in an upright position. This would force you to get an anchor point that maybe has a cradle of some sort that can keep it upright. These aren't just printed on there to make life hard and make your product selection challenging. They're printed on there because every situation is unique and what you need needs to be paired with it.